Hello world, you are welcome to Codance Academy and I am Samuel Andobochi and this is Codance Introduction to Programming with Python. And by the end of this particular course, we are not only going to teach you how to program with the Python programming language, but we're also going to equip you with all the tools, knowledge and skills that you are supposed to know and to have as long as your journey as a Python programmer is concerned. And throughout this course, we shall focus on functions. Every programming language that we have out there comes with tools, or we will say actions or verbs that the programming language may already know how to do. And these tools or actions are available to you and I, the developers or the coders, to use them in our code to make our life so easy. And then we have also the opportunity to create our own tools with this so-called functions. From there, we shall transition and look at variables, a way in code to actually save values or data inside the computer's memory, so that they sit right there anytime that we would want to make use of such values or data. They are available to us. After variables, we shall transition and look at data types, the various kinds of values or data that are available for you and I, the coders or the developers, to actually use. And depending on the data type that we deal with, also defines the operations that can be performed on such data type. After data types, we shall also transition and look at loops, a way in code to actually perform some number of actions or run some statements as long as a certain condition is true. And then from there, we shall transition and look at conditional. Sometimes in our code, we would want to run some certain instructions if a certain condition is true, or run other instructions if the condition is false, or even decide not to do anything at all if the condition is it's false. That is conditional. So that we shall dive deeper and look at what these conditionals are. From there, we shall transition and look at exceptions. Now, our program is supposed to run smoothly without crashing, and sometimes you and I, the users of that program, may not cooperate as needed and then provide some values that may result in the program crashing. And sometimes the problem is not even from you and I, but it's a runtime problem that the computer encounters whilst running our code. And there is a better way of handling these problems or errors, so that our code, instead of crashing, will not crash but rather run smoothly. From there, we shall transition and look at file IO standing for input and output. Having said earlier on that we have a way to save data or values inside the computer's memory, here we are not saving the value or data inside the computer's memory, but we are actually saving the data or value to a so-called disk storage device, so that they sit right there anytime we would want to make use of said data or values. They are available to us so that we can use. And then from there, we shall look at object-oriented programming, a way in code to actually represent real-world entities in our code. And then from there, we shall transition to any other idea or stuff or skills or knowledge that you are supposed to know in order to become a better Python programmer, or to become a better programmer. Is going to be captured throughout this particular course. Now, in order for you to be able to follow this particular course, there are two software you are supposed to download. The first one, which is the Python interpreter. Now, we have all heard that the computer actually deals with zeros and ones, so-called the binary language or the machine language, zeros and ones. But the codes that you and I are going to write, everything is going to be written in the English language. So the question is, a computer that manipulates zeros and ones, how will it be able to understand and run our codes that is going to be written in the English language? That is why we have the Python interpreter. As long as there is a language called the Python programming language, there is also a program called the Python interpreter, which actually takes the code that we write with the Python programming language, convert it into instructions, that is the zeros and ones the computer understands, so that it will be able to execute. So you need to download this Python interpreter and install it on your computer. And in order for you to be able to download it, you can follow, or you can go to this link provided over here. That is the official Python website to download the what? The software. And then mind you, when you go, you must download the right version for your computer. So for your computer here, I mean that depending on the operating system that you use, you download the version or the right version for that what? Operating system. So if you are using Windows operating system, you must ensure you download for Windows. If you are using the Mac OS, you must ensure you download the version for Mac OS. And if you are using the Linux operating system, you must also download for the Linux operating system. And then the other software that you are supposed to download and install on your computer is something known as the text editor. Now, writing codes has to do with typing text. Yes, that is what codes are. When we look at what codes or programs are just what? Text. So at the end of the day, we need a way to actually what? Write this text. And there are so many tools out there that you can download and what? Or you can download to what? To write text. And we have decided to use Visual Studio Code, aka VS Code, throughout our course. So you can also download the VS Code or the Visual Studio Code from this link over here. That is the official website. Download it from there. And then here too, must ensure that you download the right version for your operating system, whether you are using Windows, Mac OS, or the Linux what? Operating system. You need not to know how to write what? Any line of code, because in this particular course we are going to take you from the absolute beginner level to what? To the advanced level. So anything that you need to understand as a Python programmer is going to be what? Captured throughout this particular course. So you need not to know how to write even a single line of what? Of code. Everything is going to be captured throughout this particular course. This is Codan's Introduction to Programming with Python, and I am Samuel Ando Botri.